Right now, the average American owes over $150,000. Total household debt in this country just hit an all-time record, $18.8 trillion. Auto loan late payments are the worst they've ever been recorded. Credit card delinquency hasn't been this bad since 2008. But here's what nobody explains to you. If you sued a billionaire tomorrow and won, you might collect almost nothing. Not because they don't have the money. Because legally, on paper, they don't own anything at all. There's a wall standing between their money and everyone who could ever come for it. You don't have that wall. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why. Here's the part that should actually worry you. When you own a house, a car, savings, investments, in your own name, the way almost everyone does, every single one of those things is sitting in the open. Fully exposed. A lawsuit, a bad business deal, one uninsured accident, one aggressive creditor, and legally, all of it is reachable. This isn't rare. It's the default. Right now, households in their 40s, people at the peak of their earning years, are carrying more debt than any other age group in the country. Nearly $5 trillion combined. And when debt outpaces what you can legally protect, you're not just broke. You're exposed. Most people think insurance is the wall. It isn't. Insurance pays out up to a limit, and once a judgment exceeds that limit, insurance stops being your shield and your actual assets become the target. So if insurance isn't the wall, what is? Picture two people. Both worth exactly the same amount, $2 million. Both get sued for the same reason, a serious accident, a judgment awarded against them for $1.5 million. Person 1 owns everything in their own name. House, savings, investment account. The court can, and does, go after all of it. They lose the house. They lose most of what they built. Person 2 gets sued for the exact same amount, and walks away with almost everything intact. Same debt, same lawsuit, same amount owed. Completely different outcome. The difference isn't luck. It isn't a better lawyer in the room that day. It's something that was already in place years before the lawsuit ever existed. Here's what makes this different from most financial advice you'll see online. This isn't a trick someone discovered last year. It's over 90 years old, and it's already been tested by the most extreme case imaginable. In 1934, John D. Rockefeller, once the richest man alive, set up the first version of what became known as the Rockefeller Family Trust. By 1952, his descendants formalized it into what's called a dynasty trust. The goal was simple: make sure the fortune survived contact with the real world. Lawsuits, bad marriages, reckless heirs, market crashes, all of it. More than 150 years later, across 6 generations and over 200 descendants, the family is still worth an estimated $10 billion. Most family fortunes don't survive past the 2nd generation. This one did, not because every Rockefeller since 1937 has been a financial genius. Because the structure did the protecting, not the person. That's the actual lesson hiding in this story. Wealth that depends on one person staying smart forever eventually fails. Wealth that's protected by structure survives the people who built it. So if this has been public knowledge for 90 years, why doesn't everyone do it? It's not access. Forming a basic LLC costs a few $100s in most states, not millions. It's not complexity, either. The concept fits in one sentence. Don't own things directly, control them through a structure instead. It's timing psychology. Protection only works if you build it before you need it. And human beings are notoriously bad at spending money today to prevent a disaster that might not happen for 10 years. It feels like an expense with no return, right up until the 1 year it saves everything you own. The wealthy don't have better instincts here. They just got told this earlier, usually by someone whose job is managing risk instead of chasing returns. Everyone else finds out the hard way, after the lawsuit, when a lawyer says the sentence nobody wants to hear: "You should have done this 2 years ago." Here's the wall. It's called a trust-owned LLC. The wealthy don't hold their real estate, their businesses, their investments in their own name. They put those assets inside an LLC. And then, critically, The LLC itself isn't owned by them personally. It's owned by a trust. Why does that matter? Because of something called charging order protection. If someone sues the LLC, they generally can't touch the owner's personal assets. And if someone sues the person, personally, they generally can't reach what's sitting inside the LLC either. The lawsuit hits a wall on both sides. Some of these trusts are built in states like Nevada, South Dakota, or Delaware specifically because those states protect trust assets more aggressively than most. In Nevada's case, creditors only have a 2-year window to even make a claim. And here's the part that separates people who actually use this from people who just watch videos about it: timing. This only works if it's built before trouble exists. The law calls it a fraudulent transfer if you move your assets into protection after you're already being sued or already deep in debt. The wealthy aren't reacting to a crisis. They're building the wall years before they'd ever need it. Right about now you might be thinking, this sounds like something only lawyers and billionaires get to use. Or worse, like something shady, a way to dodge debts you actually owe. It isn't, and the difference matters. Hiding money from a debt you already owe, or a lawsuit that's already been filed, is illegal. That's exactly what fraudulent transfer laws exist to stop, and courts unwind those transfers the moment they're discovered. Nobody protected here is dodging a real, existing obligation. What this actually is, planning for risks that haven't happened yet. The same logic as buying insurance before your house catches fire, not after. Nobody calls fire insurance a loophole. It's only viewed differently when it's wrapped in legal language instead of a monthly premium. And it's not exclusive to billionaires, either. A basic LLC is available to anyone with a few $100s and an afternoon. The Rockefellers didn't invent a special version of the law only they can access. They just started using an ordinary legal tool decades before most people ever hear about it. That gap, not the tool itself, is the actual advantage. You don't need $2 million to start thinking this way. You need to think about structure, not just income. Here's where to actually start. Remember the lawsuit from earlier, the $1.5 million judgment? Here's the real math on what's standing between yourself and that outcome actually costs. A basic LLC runs a few $100s to set up, plus roughly a few $100 more a year to maintain properly. Add a $1 million umbrella policy at around $300 to $400 a year, and the full protection stack costs somewhere around $600 to $700 annually. 10 years of that, if you're lucky enough to never need it, costs about $6,000 or $7,000 total. 1 year without it, if that lawsuit actually happens, costs $1.5 million. That's the entire trade being made, in real numbers. If you own a business or rental property, holding it inside an LLC, even a simple one, separates that risk from your personal life. If a tenant sues over the property, they're suing the LLC, not you personally. In most states, this costs somewhere between $1 and a few $100s to set up. Umbrella insurance is the fastest, cheapest layer available to almost anyone. A $1 million policy typically runs around $300 to $400 a year, roughly $25 a month, and it extends your liability coverage far beyond what your home or auto insurance caps out at. It's not a wall, but it buys you the years you need to build one. Retirement accounts are already one of the strongest protections available to ordinary people. In most cases, federal law shields what's sitting inside a 401k from creditors almost entirely. Most people don't even realize that protection already exists for them, sitting there, and used as a talking point and undervalued as a shield. None of this requires Rockefeller money. It requires doing it before you think you need it, which is the one step that costs nothing but somehow the one step almost everyone skips. $18.8 trillion in debt. Record delinquencies. And most of it sitting completely exposed to anyone who comes looking. The wealthy aren't worried about that number. Not because they're debt-free, many of them aren't. They're not worried because whatever happens, there's a wall already standing, built years in advance, the same way it's been built for 90 years, since long before anyone watching this video was born. You don't need millions to start building yours. You need to stop thinking about what you own, and start thinking about how you own it. Next time, we're we're covering the one financial habit that separates people who stay wealthy from people who get wealthy and lose it all again. Subscribe so you don't miss it.